The Secret Life of Pinkie Pie, written by Dreadnought. What secret is Pinkie Pie keeping from her friends? Well, this story is mystery, random, slice of life. Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Gummy. Pinkie Pie. Author's note: if you enjoyed the story, be sure to check out my other comedy stories, such as The Newest Princess of Equestria and The Secret Life of Ramodash, a story we did last week. A Dreadnought, The Secret Life of Pinkie Pie.
Goodbye.
Waved Pinkie Pie as Sunflower walked away with her mother. Another successful cute scenario for Ponyville's resident party pony. Closing the door, Pinkie Pie turned to look at the inside of her beloved sugar cube corner. Streamers and banners hung on the walls, dirty plates littered the tables, and pieces of colorful wrapping paper lay strewn across the floor. She faced hours of cleaning, but knew it was a small price to pay for the long, big smile Sunflower wore during her party. Just a thought warmed Pinkie's heart, and she cracked a massive smile of her own as she walked over to the closet to get out the cleaning supplies. Yay, I can't tell it's a bunch of reading. Tired but proud, Pinkie stood back admiring her hard work. The dishes and silverware lay in a drying rack on the kitchen counter, and the clean tables were stowed away. Several large bags of trash now filled the green dumpster. Behind the sweet shop, after sweeping the floor, Pinkie mopped and waxed until it shone. Now the late afternoon sun streaming through the windows reflected off the floor, reminding Pinkie Pie she urgently needed to run an errand before it became too late. Climbing the stairs, Pinkie glanced all around her bedroom. She began looking at her bed, behind all the furniture in her closet. Confused, she scratched her head.
Here.
She said, turning around.
Gummy, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. Are you ready to go visit Aunt Fluttershy?
The baby alligator stared back blankly, presenting no response to the query.
Come on, Gummy.
She said, picking him up and putting him on her back. She bounded down the stairs and burst outside into the wonderful Friday afternoon. A short time later, Pinkie Pie approached the home of her Pegasus friend, Fluttershy. The little cottage clearly reflected the animal-loving spirit of its owner. Burrows underneath the house offered shelter to small animals, while the turf's room provided space to play or stretch up beneath Celestia's radiant sun. Birdhouses hung from all the surrounding trees, and chicken coops filled the backyard. Pinkie crossed a small arch bridge over a lazy flowing brook and reached the front door. Let's see, knock, knock. Quickly, the door opened to reveal the yellow Pegasus.
Are you Fluttershy?
Oh, hello, Pinkie Pie.
She replied.
Are you here to drop off Gummy?
Yes, sirree.
Oh, I'll take good care of him while you're gone.
I'm not going anywhere.
You're not?
Asked a confused Fluttershy.
No.
Then why did you ask me to watch Gummy for the weekend?
I'm going to be super busy and I need to focus.
Oh, are you busy planning Rainbow Dash's next party?
Nope.
Looking around before leaning in, Pinkie exclaimed in an exaggerated whisper.
It's a secret.
Oh, I won't say anything.
Okie dokie.
Placing the alligator at Fluttershy's feet, Pinkie provided Gummy his final instructions.
You behave and I'll be back bright and early Monday morning. Mwah.
She gave Gummy a quick peck, all the while he continued to stare blankly.
Have a good weekend, Pinkie.
Wished Fluttershy.
You too.
She replied before turning towards Ponyville. Pinkie merely bounced back to Sugar Cube Corner. Eager to start her weekend, she had 2 days all to herself. and she was determined to complete her project. If she was lucky, she might wrap up early and have Sunday afternoon to spend with her friends or look for fun around Ponyville, but more than likely she wouldn't finish necessitating another quest weekend of solitude sometime in the future. Pinkie Pie reached her bedroom and shut the door, making sure to lock it. Bouncing over to a cabinet, she gathered a set of papers, along with a quill and ink set, which she meticulously organized in the center. At the center of her table. Next, she pulled 2 dozen thick books from underneath her bed, spreading them all over the table and piling tall stack next to her stool. Finally came the party planning board, decorated with notes detailing ideas for super fun parties, new recipes for scrumptious treats, and designs for her latest inspirations, the party bazooka and the party panzer. Oh my. Momentarily pausing to examine her ingenious plans, she flipped it over to reveal a dry erase board with large complex equations scrawled across it. Well, that's a surprise. Sitting down upon her stool, Pinkie Pie scrutinized all her notes, wanting to ensure she fully understood the different techniques she employed during her previous attempts, and seeking insights to guide her current efforts. Out the window, a glorious sunset gave way to beautiful starry night, but she continued poring over her work, examining every variable, deviation, and logical leap, not wanting to overlook a single detail that could be the difference between success and failure. Hundreds of complex calculations and equations filled every corner of her notes, some carefully written out and others scribbled in brief flashes of genius. Finally satisfied, everything had been accounted for. She stood up and trotted to the board. She stared at it for an hour, working different possibilities and postulates in her mind. Returning to her desk, she rummaged through the reference books until late in the evening. Going down. Pinkie Pie woke up. Pinkie Pie woke up to the morning sunlight streaming through her window. Opened her eyes, she found herself using a book on complex variables as a pillow, while a little drool dribbled from her mouth onto the pages. It's a good thing Twilight wasn't here to see her defiling her precious book. Sitting upright, the book clung to her face for a few moments before falling to the table. Pinkie felt a pang of hunger, causing her to go to the snack cabinet. The cabinet stood loaded with chocolate, cupcakes, Twinkies, and sweet rolls, muffins, pies, and candies of all types. Reaching down to the bottom shelf, though, she grabbed a red apple and returned to her stool, mindlessly munching as she continued to examine series of proofs. By the late afternoon, Pinkie still hadn't made any progress. Growing discouraged, she stood up and noticed the sun hanging low in the sky. Had she really been working all day? What did she have to show for it? Nothing, not even a small flicker of inspiration to shed, to shed some light on the problem, flopping down on her bed. She wondered if she would ever reach a solution. Pinkie Pie woke to a room, dark and quiet, looking over to her clock. She saw it was 5:30 in the morning. Had she really slept all night? Wincing at the light of the lamp, she got up and grabbed another apple from her cabinet. She returned to the table and continued her work. By the early afternoon, Pinkie Pie felt exasperated and disheartened. Variables, complex equations, and ingenious proofs swirled in her head. Yet she still hadn't made any progress. Standing up for the first time in hours, she walked over to her board. She went over and over her notes, working through everything in her mind. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Frustrated, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Opening her eyes, she didn't look at the writing, but stared beyond to the hidden equations and the variables lurking behind the obvious. Then in the back of her mind, a spark. I didn't think of that before. I can't tell if she's reading this because it's not in quotation marks.
That's her thoughts. She's thinking it.
Oh, okay, you can read it then.
I didn't think of that before, but that could mean...
She paused to consider. Well, then, yeah, yes, sorry.
Well, then that would be affected, and I could substitute. Could that be the missing piece? Have I done it?
Pinkie Pie returned to her table, pulling out a clean sheet of paper. She began her calculations. Now most ponies considered unicorns to be the most gifted mathematicians. Using their magic, they would write down equations and calculate solutions far faster than Pegasi and Earth ponies had to solely write by mouth. But Pinkie didn't consider this a weakness. No, she found it a strength. Unicorns quickly work out equations, hurriedly moving from one step to the next. But other ponies work more slowly and could carefully analyze their work as they went, taking time to make sure it was the right, but also poised to discover unforeseen insights. And Pinkie took full advantage as she carefully processed through the problem. Pinkie Pie sat down her quill and started jumping for joy. Not only had she solved the problem, but she checked her work several times, always coming to the same answer. Eureka! She felt like running through the streets naked, shouting Eureka. No, that was silly. She ought to dress in her finest formal attire and run through the streets shouting Eureka. Before she raced through the streets of Ponyville, Pinkie decided to type up her analysis. She went to the cabinet and pulled out an old, worn typewriter, feeding the paper and making sure the platen caught an extra-large smile broke out across her face. If only other ponies knew what she had done. But then her reputation as Ponyville's most fun-loving pony would be ruined. Most ponies found mathematicians to be extremely boring, except for Twilight, but though she was outstanding at algebra, trigonometry, and even calculus, the math Pinkie Pie had used this proof was far beyond Twilight's level of study, or, dare she admit it, comprehension. No, she must keep her passion for mathematics secret from all her friends, Twilight included. Turning back to the typewriter, she began. A proof of Riemann's hypothesis. Dr. P. Pie, Ph.D.